For someone that enjoys making videos, meeting new people, talking to people, I get really hung up on introductions. Welcome back to Bracken Forge and Homestead. My name is Logan, for those of you that don't know me, and today's topic is going to be knife making mistakes to avoid. So the first knife mistake to talk about today is one that's very dear to my heart. The first mistake of knife making is becoming a knife maker. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm a knife maker. I've been making knives for 13 years. I focus on making custom knives. I had a little bout where I was doing a bunch of mid-techs. Now I just do custom knives and a little bit of drops here and there. I was on History Channel's Forged in Fire Season 7, Episode 33, the Japanese Ono. You can go check it out. Cool little video to watch, fun little experience, and I had a blast doing that. Thanks for the opportunity, to the History Channel and all that. Met a lot of really cool friends, and that's the biggest takeaway that I took from Forged in Fire was just all the friends that I made.
You and I are work friends.
So for those of you that are watching this, y'all are my friends. Yeah, there you go. It's stuck in the goggles. So, my favorite thing to do in knife making is actually to hand forge knives. I enjoy hand forging knives. I really, really enjoy hand forging knives out of what most people would be considered as junk. I think it's really cool and beautiful to take something that was intended for the trash can or to just get melted down, see that if it's usable steel or not, and then recreate it into something amazing. Some of the stuff that I make knives out of is purchased steel. My last video, this one, Toxin, this was 8670 that I purchased from, I think this one was purchased from Pops. So I do order a lot from Pops. This one, for example, this pretty kitchen knife I just finished. Look at that. This kitchen knife was made from an old sawmill blade. And sawmill steel, unless you test it, you're really not going to know what it is. It's typically either L6, which is very uncommon. It's most closely related to 8670, which I use a lot and I enjoy. I'm currently working on a drop of some Nitro V string. No. I'm currently working on a drop of Nitro V stainless. And so this was... this particular type of stainless Nitro V was recommended to me by Chris Jones of Steel Dog Knives. Go check out his Instagram page. Really good knife maker, amazing. Chris is actually going to be doing the heat treat on these because I do not have the proper setup to heat treat stainless steel. I just have forges. So we're going to talk about a lot of things in today's video, a lot of mistakes. I'm also going to tell you of a mistake that I made, so you might want to stay till all the way to the end. Yeah, I'm trying to get you to watch the whole video. You could just fast forward like that. I don't care. Let's talk about mistakes made in choosing the right steel. All steel is different. I do not believe there is a steel that is superior to another steel or better than another steel. They all have different attributes, and I use steel based off of what I'm going to be doing with it. So for example, L6, 8670, that family, 8670 has the highest toughness that I've seen. And you can look up Laren Thomas with Knife Steel Nerds. He has a really cool article about this that talks about the different, like sharpness, edge retention and all that on a scale of like 1 to 10. And so I like 8670 because a lot of the guys that are purchasing my knives and using them are either hunters or they're workers, and they need something that they can EDC carry and basically abuse the mess out of, but then be able to sharpen it quickly. I'm not gonna lie, like 8670 loses its edge relatively quickly in comparison to other steels that I've used. I would say it holds up almost as good as 1095. I really think that the difference between the two is what you get for the benefit of 8670 is the toughness, and that's why I use it. However, if you're going to be making like a kitchen knife for a customer that doesn't have a way to care for it very well, stainless steel is definitely the better option. Or if you're going to have a customer that's like, I sharpen my knives for free for those that want to mail them back to me with a return label so that I can mail them back to them. I use a lot of carbon steels. Carbon steel is preferred by a lot of people in my circles, but stainless steel kitchen knives, actually a lot of them have a greater edge retention than carbon steel over the long run. The difference is that carbon steel can be sharpened very quickly on a steel rod and then honed on a piece of leather to be razor sharp again. And so if that's something that's important to you, is ease of sharpening, that is something you should consider when you're picking your steel. The mistake, I believe, with picking your steel is getting caught up, and I made this mistake big time. I used to be caught up that 8670 is the best, files were the best, carbon steel was the best. I mean, you could probably go back to some of my older videos and even see like me say this, carbon steel is the best steel ever, you know. And while I still love carbon steel, I don't think that anymore.
I was wrong, you were right.
You got to pick the right steel. And so the mistake here to learn from is don't close your mind to the different steels. It's as simple as that. Do your research, look up steels, figure out what you're using it for, and then try it. One of these little bitty drops that I'm using Nitro V for is, I'm actually going to be making myself one of these little Nitro Vs, and then the rest of the 5 will be sold in a drop. But I'm going to make myself one of these to test it and just use it on a regular basis, because I want to see what it's like using it in my daily tasks that I do. I work in construction, concrete construction in particular. It's one of the reasons I like 8670s. I drop my knives a lot from working, cutting steel, cutting wire, things like that, and my knife gets dropped on the concrete and my tips don't break. So that's one of the reasons I like 8670. And so I'm curious what stainless steel will do, because 8670 rusts really bad. So that's an issue. We're gonna have to move
for this next part of the video. So my new gimbal is awesome. There's a little green light that I actually have to look. Okay, so for this part of the video, we'll put this right here actually. Let's do this.
So for this part of the video, I want to talk to you about heat treat. Heat treat is a big mistake that you can make as a new knife maker, simply because you watched a lot of other knife makers and it really looks like they just heat the steel up red and then they quench it in some sort of unknown substance that lights on fire. That's the way that I started. I was like, oh, I just get it hot and dip it in some motor oil. Don't quench your knives in motor oil. Motor oil is poison. It's not good. It bakes into the surface of the knife and it's bad. For carbon steel knives, I like to quench in actually vegetable oil. You have to change it out because it gets nasty. But for the most part, I've had a lot of success quenching in canola oil. It's really good. There's also different quenchants like Parks 50 and things like that. But know your heat treat. Look it up. There's plenty of research online. There's plenty of books you can go buy. Look it up and follow a recipe. If you're not going to follow a recipe and you're one of those people that just really want to trial and error, well, then that's what you need to do. You need to make 2 or 3 knives and you need to try different temperatures. If you're going to be following a color chart, you need to be tempering at different colors. I recommend getting a laser so that you actually know what temperature you're quenching at. Don't just go guessing. But that's the biggest mistake when it comes to quenching, is that you just don't know. So just do a little research before you quench and really pay attention. And then when you go to the quench, know how long it needs to stay in the quench. You don't want to just dip it in and pull it out in big fireball blast. Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Stop it. Get some help.
Be the guy that actually did his research. Everybody I talk to, from stock removal makers to ABS guys to knife guild guys, all of them, they're going to tell you the same thing. Do your research. Look it up. The other big mistake that I see people making, especially new knife makers, is tool selection. There's one of 2 ways to go about this, okay? If you've got the money and you can spend the money on, high quality grinders, things like that, I'm going to be the first to tell you, don't spare an expense. Buy one that you like, buy one that meets all of your needs, and for crying out loud, buy all the attachments. I can't tell you how much time I would have saved, and honestly, prettier knives I would have made had I had the right tools. Now, that being said, if you're a grungy guy and you just really want to push through, you can just get a cheap grinder, and some people make this work. Some people do a good job at it. But I would say if you can, do it. And so that leads me into my next point. The biggest mistake that knife makers make is, one, choosing the wrong tool, or two, not choosing the tool at all. So behind me, you're going to see a couple of different grinders. You're going to see this one right here. Don't use that grinder. Can you? Sure. You're just starting out. This is what you got, go for it. That's the way that I started. I didn't do the Cadillac route. I started with the grinder that I could afford, and then I bumped it up as I sold a few knives, or I asked for it for Christmas, like this yellow grinder right here behind me. This yellow one right here, this is an excellent grinder. I really like this grinder. It's from Origin Blade Maker. I've had this knife grinder for a long time. You'll see it in a lot of my videos, but I saved up and I purchased this grinder along with all of these attachments. So get yourself some attachments and go at it. It's great. Over here, you'll see behind me, that one, I built that grinder. I think it's John Norwood with, what's the name of his forge? John Norwood is his name, but he has a video posted out of building a 2x72, and I built that grinder. That grinder predated my yellow grinder behind me. So choose the right tool. So the next mistake that I'm going to talk about is an honest and easy mistake that a lot of knife makers make, and it's one that I just chose not to make anymore. I simplified my process. So this is from Combat Abrasives. I have every single of their tiered system buffering systems with each compound, and then the other wheel on the other side is a sponge wheel, a felt wheel for Kydex. And so I literally just have a station that is for Kydex making and for handle buffing and the like, because I don't really like to do a lot of hand sanding. I've grown to enjoy it more as I've seen the results it produces. But I hand set up to about 400 to 600, and then I buff, and it produces an amazing result. I like the result, and I'm happy with the result. So create yourself processes and systems that are easy to follow for you, and be your own maker. So this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to tell you to like and subscribe to the videos. Do that. Do that.
I'm so scared.
So another mistake I see with new makers is proper grinding technique, and I just want to be really, really clear here that when you start grinding a knife, this is going to go back to another mistake, but when you start grinding a knife, really be cautious with the heat. You're grinding away at the knife and things like that, and the knife is sitting there heating up, and then you're dipping it in water, and it's heating up, and you're dipping it in water. Try really, really hard to not let it overheat, because if you dip it in water after you've been grinding it for a while and it sizzles, that's a bad sign. Another thing is not using the proper safety equipment. My last short that I posted, it got a lot of views. Really thankful for all the feedback and stuff like that, but a lot of guys had some really good comments that I didn't even think about mentioning during that short, which, mind you, a short is a short, and so it's I only get like 30 seconds to talk on those things. And so some of those is like the combinations of different metals and like rust coming off of knives can create things that explode. And so it's like people don't know that. And so wearing safety gear like a safety shield or a dust respirator is really important. I actually do both. And in my last short, if you go check it out, you'll see I'm actually talking about a little dust collection system that I created, because dust is a serious problem and your lungs can't handle it. So I don't care if it's a rag, I don't care if it's a dust respirator, and again, I am guilty of this. You can go back and watch my videos and you will see me countless times grinding without a mask, because I forget. or even grinding without goggles or a face shield because I forget.
Stupid.
But I got a really cool story to tell you, kind of a scary story to tell you about not wearing safety glasses, but I'm going to show you what I use in my videos, or just when I'm working. So this is a grinding hood from Benchmark Abrasives. I am not sponsored by them in any way. If they would like to sponsor the channel, they can reach out to me. I doubt they're watching this video, but Benchmark Abrasives makes an awesome grinding hood. This is a Z87 safety rated impact face shield, which is what you want. And then there's this. This is a N95 dust respirator. This is going to take care of the majority of the particles that you're going to create during grinding and things like that. Buy one, wear it, and change the filters. So I also have another one. It's a little bitty cheapo like this. I just use this kind of when I'm grinding something, like if I'm grinding with like a 40 grit, sometimes I'll throw that on with a dust collector and but there's a respirator in the bottom of that thing, by the way. And I know it didn't show it, like right now I have it off because I'm cleaning it. But like sometimes I'll throw that one on, don't really need as much. But what I've noticed is the black lung that's up in my nose when I get done in the shop is significantly less. You're shortening your life expectancy if you don't wear a dust respirator. I'm not trying to sound like a safety nut, but I've got people that I care about, and so I'm gonna wear the right tools and the right safety. I'm gonna use the right tools and wear the right safety equipment. Another common mistake that I see people doing on YouTube and Instagram where people are making knives when it comes to grinding and shaping is just using the wrong tool. Having the right tool for the right job is really important, and I've been there, I've done that. I used to use an angle grinder to grind in my bevels, and if you can do that, you know, more power to you. But the second that you catch that angle grinder the right way, like it'll throw that disc, or it'll throw that grinder, and it'll throw that flat disc too. So it's not the safest tool that you can use. And I mean, you could get a 1x30 from Harbor Freight and do cleaner lines and just do a better job with the right tool. So that's a mistake, as I see a lot of people using the wrong tool. So use the right tool. And then the final area and mistake that I see people making a mistake on is in finishing and handling the knife itself, putting a handle on the knife and finishing the knife. So after you forge the knife, you get it to shape, you got it polished, it's cleaned up, you're ready to put handles on it, or whatever process you follow to put handles on it. People start putting handles on it and they bite off more than they can chew. Don't do that. Take your time with a handle. Don't rush it. I'll show you a knife. This knife, for example, here. At this handle, you see that? I don't know if you can see that in the video. Oh, there it goes. If I hold it, you see that crack? That goes all the way through. So this particular knife, I rushed it. I mean, and this handle material is beautiful. Look at that. Really beautiful handle material. And I just rushed the build of that knife. This was a long time ago. I don't do that anymore. And so I take my time with my handles now. Take your time. Don't rush it. One of the other mistakes is when you're sharpening a knife, you have to be really cautious and really careful. One of the common mistakes that I see people doing is they're just sharpening that blade, and man, they are heating it up. Again, this goes back to the heat treat and the temper. If you want to mechanically sharpen, go for it. I have a mechanical sharpener that I use. I like it. It does a really good job. And then I use a leather strop. That's how I sharpen. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people don't like to do that, so they're using whetstones, which is probably the best way to do it, is the whetstones. I haven't noticed a difference using a sharpening machine versus, by sharpening machine, it's that little bitty 1x30 back there. So, but I haven't really noticed a huge edge retention difference from using a mechanical machine versus stones. So, but don't overheat your edge. And the final thing is just making sure on your knife, I know this is a pretty common one, but for new people that don't know, this might be a really important one, is get something that's going to protect your knife from rust. If you're using carbon steels and you're going to be adventuring and doing different kinds of steels, or Damascus, get something that's going to protect your knife from rust. If you're going to be doing Damascus and you're wanting to know pointers and tips and tricks on making Damascus, I like to watch Dennis Terrell's videos for Damascus. His Damascus is beautiful. It's awesome. Also Kyle Royer. They both have really, really good ideas with finishing out Damascus knives. I will definitely say that both of those guys are better than me at making Damascus. Actually, a lot of people are better than me at making Damascus because I don't make a whole lot of Damascus. So go check them out. Both really two awesome YouTube channels and also really good dudes and just great knife makers. So here's one of the things I use. Renaissance wax. I like using Renaissance wax. It gives a really good coat over the knife. It's worked better than some of the other stuff that I've used. There's also a kind of a newer guy that's out there, Wicked Edge. I've been seeing a lot of his stuff. Or the Axe Wax works great. I think that's Axe Wax works great, and I think that it's a all natural substance. So if you're going to be eating with the knife, I don't recommend using Renaissance wax. It's not edible. It's petroleum based. And so know what you're putting on your knife and your finish. That's another thing I tell people all the time is like, if you're gonna I have a video about blackening a blade and how to blacken a blade, and I talk about it, and this is one of the things that a lot of knife makers I've seen use. DG Blade Co uses this, and if you notice, there's that little skull and crossbones. No, it does not mean that it's a pirate drink. It means that it's poison and it's bad for you, and don't get it on your skin. Don't breathe it in, and don't eat it, and don't drink it or get it in your eye, or for that matter, it's probably just not good to use. However, I use it because it helps blacken parts and stuff like that. Sometimes I blacken real good and then I give it a good buff and it keeps it buff. And then I put a clear coat over it and it looks beautiful. I've done that on a few guards, and the clear coat kind of protects, from the chemical, but I also neutralize the chemical with a neutralizing agent. So that's another way to do it. So that's the end of the video in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a lot of talking and not so much action in this video. So yeah. But it was good information. I hope this answered a lot of your questions. If you have questions, put them in the comments. No, I probably didn't cover all the mistakes. I just covered the mistakes that were just kind of on the top of my head that I see a lot of people making, because that's the mistake that you're going to make. So, to my story.
Tell me literally everything. Everyone, shut up!
On the heat treating mistake. I was heat treating a knife steel that a customer ordered, and I overworked the steel, and I heated the steel, and I overworked the steel, and I overworked the steel under the appropriate temperature, forging wise. When I quenched it, I didn't notice, but the knife had along the spine just a micro fracture. I couldn't even tell what it was. I didn't even know. I didn't know it was a seam, like a grind seam or anything. I put it to temper, and when I tempered it, it split. It was the weirdest looking thing in the world. It literally just split down the spine, like cut open like a taco. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So I had to completely remake the knives. It was two knives. It was actually two kukris, and I completely had to remake them. And so I took the steel, I looked up the recipe for it, and I followed it, and I was successful. And so that was my experience. The story with the grinding hood was I was actually wearing goggles, not a face shield. And so I was wearing Z87 goggles, and I was working on a knife. I mean, it was pretty much the same size as this knife, except it had a long, slender profile and a little ring. I think they're still on my Instagram, so you can go check them out. They were called the Saints. And I was buffing one of these knives, and I was buffing, and I made a mistake. I turned the knife the wrong way. The knife got caught in the buffing wheel, and it threw it into the glasses. It threw it straight into the glasses. And I was like, oh gosh, it's stuck in the glasses like this. Like, imagine a knife like that. Like, geez Louise. That scared me, just a knife being that close to my eye. It stuck in the goggles. So, don't make those mistakes. Stay sharp.